Hi everyone, it's Monica, and welcome back to Tailor-Made Cards for You. Well, it's the beginning of June, and that means it's time for another page in my art journal. Now, originally I thought I was going to do a Father's Day page, but recently I've really been into the travel themes. If you've seen the last couple of videos, I did my passport books, and those were, of course, travel journals. And I decided to go ahead and continue with my travel theme into my art journal. So the first thing that I did was I prepped my page using some gesso because I wanted to get some of that ink that seeped through from the other page off my page that I'm going to be working on. Your gesso essentially helps you to get a clean slate, and it helps to prime your page so that way your medium will lay nicely onto your page. Now I'm going to be using a couple of paints that you've seen me use in the past. And I really like these paints. Not only do I like the colors, but I like the way that they flow easily on my pages. So the first ink or paint I should say that I'm using is Liquitex, and it's the Acrylic matte color, and this is the yellow Oxide. And for making vintage projects, this is a great paint because it really does help to antique your page or your card or whatever you're working on. And then I thought I would mix it with some mixed media transparent acrylic soft gel paint because I wanted to see what the two combinations together would look like. And I have to say, I really like the combinations. It gave a little bit more of a muted brown tone to my yellow Oxide. And I also helped how the mixed medium transparent soft gel helped to thin out the paint just a bit. And as you can see, it created some great texture. I was really happy with the overall page that I got. Not only the way that the product moved, but overall the texture that I was able to get on the background. Now, if you find that you have too much product on your journal, you can always come in with your silicone brush to remove some of that excess paint. The silicone brush has a nice straight edge, which is great for removing paint and moving some of your product. It also helps to create texture. I'm able to actually come in with my straight edge and create some harsh lines to add more texture to my background. So once I was happy with the overall look of my background, I did come in with my drying tool to dry off the paint. I wanted to make sure I had a nice dry surface before I started stamping. So to add more interest to my background, I decided to use my oversized street map stamp from Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous. And this is a great stamp. I don't typically stamp down the entire image. I like to just take bits and pieces of it. So I went ahead and added some of my black Archival ink, and I just randomly added parts of the stamp all over my page. Now remember, with this technique, you're not going to necessarily get a nice crisp image. You're just going to get portions of the image, but that really is the intention. You're going to the look that you're going for is to create interest, not necessarily to create a nice crisp image. The name of this stamp set is called Road Trip, and it is an older one, but I really love this stamp set, not only for the map but also for the car and the sentiment. It's a great versatile stamp for traveling projects. I think there may be a few places you can still pick it up, so I will make sure that I add some links below for the products that I'm using to create my journal page. So once my ink was dry, I did decide to go ahead and add some texture paste to add to my travel theme. In hindsight, I probably should have added the color to my texture paste before I actually started adding it to my page, but you'll see that I did end up adding some more color as I went along. The stencil that I'm using is an oversized mixed media stencil from Andy Skinner, and it has some great travel words as well as some numbers. This set is perfect for my travel page, and it's going to add some nice texture as well. Now I knew that if I stamped an image onto my really busy background, that the image may not show up as nice as I wanted it to. So I decided to try a new technique and something that I've been seeing out on YouTube with some other designers. So the product that I'm working with today is some tissue stock, and it's actually from Canvas Corp brand. Now the tissue is a little bit thicker than what you would find for your when you're wrapping presents and you add that tissue paper. So it holds the ink really nicely without ripping the paper. Now I decided I wanted to have the paper just a little bit thicker for stamping, so I did take my 12 by 12 sheet and I folded it into fourths. And then using my black archival ink along with my stamping platform, I stamped my image onto the tissue stock. So once I had a nice crisp image, I did take my tonic scissors and I cut around my image that I had stamped. Now keep in mind, it is tissue paper, so even though it is a little bit thicker than your normal tissue paper, you want to be really careful when you are working with this because it could easily tear on you. So once I had my image completely cut out, I decided that I was going to add it right above the word travel using some of my collage medium. Now as you can see, even though it is tissue paper, the image is really nice and crisp, and I'm able to easily see it even though I have a really busy background. I found that the collage medium worked really well on the tissue paper, and even though again it is tissue paper, I was able to easily adhere it to my journal page. Now I found the best way to add my tissue paper to my journal was to add a little bit of the collage medium directly onto my journal, and then I came in and I added the collage medium directly over the paper. As you can see, once the image was completely dry, it didn't smear at all on this paper, and I was able to easily adhere my image directly to my journal page. Since the image works so well on the tissue paper, I decided to stamp my sentiment on it as well. So once again, I used my stamping platform along with some black ink, archival ink, to stamp my image. And then once I had a nice crisp image, I did decide to actually tear the paper around the edges rather than cut it out. I was able to easily tear the tissue paper around the sentiment, and I really liked the look that I got with the jagged edges. So once I had my sentiment completely torn around the edges, I used my Distress Collage medium once again to adhere my sentiment directly to my journal page. If you've never used this collage medium, a little bit goes a long way. Typically, like I've showed you on the car image, I add a little bit of collage medium directly to the journal, and then I come in with my finger and I add it over the image or my sentiment. Now the collage medium is a little bit moist, so you do want to be careful when you are working with tissue paper, just to make sure you don't tear it. Alright, so now that the main part of my journal is complete, I decided to go ahead and add some more interest to the edges of the journal. So I am taking one of my background stamps using my black archival ink once again, and a stamp, and I'm adding the background image directly around the edges. Now as you can see, I am using my fingers to do this. I really wanted it to be a random look. I guess you probably could use an acrylic block, but I find with some of these background stamps, just holding it in my hand works really well. Alright, so once I finished adding the background edges around the journal, I decided I needed to add just a little bit more interest. So because this is a travel page, I decided to add some tickets. You've probably seen me use some of my new ticket booth tickets from Stampers Anonymous on some of my earlier videos. This right now is my favorite set, and I try to use it whenever possible. I did actually use my tickets in my most recent passport book, and they make fun ephemera add-ins to my pockets. So for this particular page, I decided to go ahead and stamp a couple more tickets and distress them up with some distress ink, and then I'm just going to add them as additional interest to my background. One of the things I really like about these tickets is I can easily cut them out right on my desk when I'm working on my project. This little sidekick works great with these tickets, and I find that I'm able to actually cut all of my tickets out using the sidekick. I do have a video also posted where I demonstrated cutting out lots of these tickets, and I will make sure that I link that below for you, so you can check that out as well. Now, while these tickets are rectangular in shape, some of you may be wondering why I actually added or purchased the die cuts. And you're going to see the die cuts actually have perforated edges along with right in the middle of the ticket, so I can remove part of the ticket to make it really look like a ticket that you might use when you're on a train station. I really like the overall results that I get on these tickets when I use the die cuts, and that's why I decided to go with the additional investment getting the dies. Now, if you don't necessarily need that finished edge, you could easily cut these out, but again, I really like the look that I get with the dies. It really makes them look like actual tickets, and then adding my distress ink to the edges and just wearing them by bending and ripping them a little bit really makes them look aged. So this is what I was talking about, the perforated part of the ticket. I was easily able to tear off part of that ticket and add it to my journal page. I could have easily left it attached, but I really wanted it to look like it was a used ticket. So tearing it off really worked nicely for my page. Now, as you can see, this collage medium is really versatile. Not only did I use it for my tissue paper, but now I'm using it for some cardstock to adhere my tickets. And once it's completely dry, you're going to find that it is really strong. I typically will use the collage medium when I am creating collages. There are some other products out there, but this seems to be my go-to one. And the price point really isn't expensive. You can easily get it on sale, and it's a nice addition to your crafty stash. And then I did come in with a little bit more background interest. I decided there were still some more parts of my journal that were just a little bit too plain. So I came in with another one of my background stamps, and I just added a little bit more interest by adding some of those black dots. So this is the 6th month on my series of art journaling for beginners. And as you can see, I really don't have any rhyme or reason for my journaling. Journaling to me is personal, and I really like to just let go and let my creative outlet take me where it will. My art journaling tends to be a little bit grungy, but of course, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I do like the grunge. And that's really one of the reasons I enjoy doing these pages so much, because I'm really just able to let loose and not have to worry about perfection. I think sometimes we get too caught up in ourselves and we worry about it being perfect. But to me, my crafty studio and my art is just an outlet for me. I'm certainly not a professional artist, and it's just something that enables me to let go and let my creativity flow. I'm also able to get my hands dirty, and that's something that I like to do as well. So for your convenience, I will leave a list of all the products that I've used along with the links to the stores. If you've enjoyed the video, I would sure appreciate a thumbs up. And don't forget, if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you head out. I hope you've been enjoying my monthly series for art journaling for beginners. And if you haven't broken an art journal in yet, I would really encourage you to do so. It really is therapeutic, and I love just being able to let loose and let my creativity flow. Also, feel free to leave me a comment and let me know what you thought about the page this month. I really enjoy reading all your comments, and it really does help to keep me encouraged and move forward on my series. All right, everybody, thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you again next time.